Most first-time dog owners make their adoption decision based on cuteness and Instagram potential, which is exactly why so many end up overwhelmed, exhausted, and seriously reconsidering their choice 3 months in. I'm Stephen Whitlow, and I've spent over 20 years training dogs of every breed and temperament, and helping owners figure out what actually works in real life, not just in theory. You're listening to Total Pet Parent Podcast. Quick thing before we jump in. The research, the data, the entire script you're hearing today, all of that's been written and verified by real authors with actual hands-on experience. The voice delivering it happens to be AI generated, but the expertise behind it is completely human. Just wanted to mention that up front. If you've been listening for a while now, thank you, genuinely. It's great knowing you're getting something useful out of these episodes. And if you're new here, welcome. Glad you pressed play. We drop new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so there's always something fresh. Now, here's what we're covering today. For most first-time owners, an adult dog between 1 and 5 years old is the better choice. You'll skip the intense housebreaking phase, the destructive chewing, and the round-the-clock supervision that puppies demand. This guide breaks down the decision across time commitment, training challenges, health costs, behavioral predictability, and lifestyle fit, so you can choose the dog that'll actually work with your real life, not the idealized version of it. Let me give you a quick comparison to start. When it comes to daily time commitment, puppies need 4 to 6 hours of active supervision with potty breaks every 2 hours, while adult dogs typically need 1 to 2 hours of exercise and interaction. Training difficulty? Puppies start from scratch. You're looking at 4 to 6 months just for basic housebreaking. Adult dogs often already know basic commands and just need 2 to 4 weeks to adjust to your routine. First-year costs run between $2,500 and $4,000 for puppies when you factor in vaccines, spay or neuter, supplies, and potential damage. Adult dogs typically cost $1,200 to $2,000. And behaviorally, puppies are unpredictable. Their personality is still developing and won't fully emerge until 12 to 18 months. With adult dogs, what you see is what you get. The personality is already established. Now, let's talk about the reality check nobody mentions when it comes to time commitment. Here's what usually happens. People picture playing fetch in the backyard and cuddling on the couch. Then they bring home an 8-week-old puppy and realize they can't leave the house for more than an hour without coming home to accidents or chewed baseboards. Puppies require constant supervision for the first 4 to 6 months. I'm talking about setting alarms for 2 a.m. potty breaks, rushing home during lunch, and watching them like a hawk whenever they're out of the crate. Young puppies physically cannot hold their bladder longer than their age and months plus 1. So a 3-month-old pup needs to go out every 4 hours maximum. That includes overnight. If you're working full-time without the option to come home midday, you'll need to hire a dog walker or use doggy daycare, which adds $15 to $30 per day to your budget. The destruction phase hits around 12 to 16 weeks when teething ramps up. I've seen puppies chew through drywall corners, destroy leather sofas, and gnaw table legs down to splinters, all in the span of a single afternoon. You'll need to puppy-proof your home thoroughly, which means removing or securing anything within 3 feet of the floor. Adult dogs settle into your routine within 2 to 4 weeks. Most can hold their bladder for 6 to 8 hours during the workday, though I wouldn't push it past 6 regularly. They've outgrown the manic chewing phase, and if they're from a reputable rescue or foster program, you'll know whether they're crate-trained and housebroken before you sign the paperwork. You can leave the house without a military-level exit strategy. You can sleep through the night on day 1. The time difference isn't trivial. It's the difference between rearranging your entire life for 6 months and making moderate adjustments for a few weeks. For anyone working a standard schedule, the puppy versus adult dog decision usually comes down to this single factor more than any other. Moving on to training challenges, starting from scratch versus building on a foundation. I've trained hundreds of puppies, and here's the truth. Basic obedience takes 4 to 6 months of consistent daily work before you have a dog that reliably responds to sit, down, come, and leave it. Housebreaking alone can stretch to 6 months, depending on the breed and your consistency. Puppies don't come with an off switch. They're learning machines, but they're also chaos engines with the attention span of a goldfish. You're starting with 0 skills and maximum energy. Every behavior you want, loose leash walking, not jumping on guests, settling calmly when you're working, has to be taught from the ground up. Puppies need multiple short training sessions daily, 5 to 10 minutes each, and you'll burn through training treats faster than you'd believe. You'll also need to invest in proper puppy training tools like a crate, exercise pen, and leash, plus potentially potty training aids if you're struggling with housebreaking. The upside? You control the entire learning experience. If you do it right from the start, you won't have to undo bad habits someone else taught. The downside? You're going to mess some things up. Every first-time owner does. And those mistakes become ingrained behaviors you'll spend months correcting later. Adult dogs often come with basic training already installed. I've worked with plenty of 2 to 3-year-old shelter dogs that knew sit, down, and come within the first session. They've lived with humans before. They understand that inside is for sleeping and outside is for peeing. They've usually figured out that biting hands during play is not acceptable. The learning curve is about adapting what they already know to your household rules, not building everything from nothing. That said, adult dogs sometimes come with baggage, fear-based reactivity, leash pulling, separation anxiety, or resource guarding. But here's the key difference. You can identify these issues during the meet and greet period. Reputable rescues will tell you up front if a dog is nervous around men, reactive to other dogs, or needs a home without cats. With puppies, you're gambling. That sweet, calm 10-week-old might turn into a 60-pound adolescent with serious barrier frustration at 14 months. You won't know until you're already 2 years deep. For first-time owners, the predictability of an adult dog's training needs beats the blank slate fantasy of puppies almost every time. Let's look at health costs and veterinary care, the first-year reality. The first year with a puppy is expensive, and most of that expense is non-negotiable. You're looking at $2,500 to $4,000 minimum when you add up everything. 3 rounds of combination vaccines at $75 to $100 each, rabies vaccine at $20 to $30, spay or neuter surgery at $200 to $500, heartworm and flea prevention starting at $15 to $25 per month, and multiple vet visits for wellness checks and potential issues like intestinal parasites, which are incredibly common in puppies. Then there's the stuff you didn't budget for. Puppies eat inappropriate things: rocks, socks, sticks, entire tennis balls. Emergency vet visits for intestinal blockages start around $1,500 and climb from there. They get diarrhea from sudden diet changes, which means more vet visits. They injure themselves doing stupid puppy things like launching off furniture or misjudging a jump. And if you're feeding a large breed puppy, you'll need specialized nutrition that costs 20 to 30% more than standard puppy food to ensure proper bone development. Adult dogs cost substantially less in year 1, typically $1,200 to $2,000. They've already been spayed or neutered, most rescues include this before adoption. They've finished their core vaccine series and just need annual boosters at $50 to $100. They're less likely to eat foreign objects because they've developed some sense of what's food and what's a choking hazard. And crucially, you're not paying for growth. You can buy quality adult dog food in larger quantities without worrying about transitioning to new formulas every few months. The long-term costs eventually even out. A well-cared-for dog will need senior-specific care after age 7 or 8, regardless of when you adopted them. But the first-year difference is significant enough to impact the decision, especially if you're on a tight budget or don't have $1,500 sitting in savings for emergency vet care. Now let's talk about behavioral predictability, gambling versus knowing what you're getting. This is where adult dogs have the clearest advantage. Personality is fully formed by 18 to 24 months, and what you see during the adoption meet and greet is what you'll live with. Is the dog calm and gentle, energetic and playful, nervous around strangers, confident and outgoing? That's your dog. Behavior can be modified with training, but core temperament is set. I've watched too many first-time owners adopt an 8-week-old puppy from a calm, laid-back breed, only to end up with a neurotic, high-energy adolescent at 14 months because genetics are unpredictable and early socialization went sideways. Breed tendencies are real. Herding breeds tend to be smart and driven. Retrievers tend to be mouthy and social. But individual variation is enormous. That sweet, cuddly golden retriever puppy might mature into a 75-pound tornado with separation anxiety and zero off switch. With puppies, you're making a 15-year commitment based on 30 minutes of observation at the breeder's house or shelter. You don't know if they'll be dog aggressive, cat aggressive, child friendly, or comfortable in the car. You don't know if they'll develop noise phobias or barrier frustration. You're hoping that with proper socialization and training, they'll turn into the dog you imagined. Sometimes it works perfectly. Sometimes it doesn't, and you're stuck managing a behavioral problem you never signed up for. Adult dogs remove most of that guesswork. Spend an hour with a 3-year-old dog, and you'll learn whether they pull on leash, come when called, get along with other dogs, and handle new situations with confidence or anxiety. Foster-based rescues are especially valuable here. The foster family has lived with the dog for weeks or months and can tell you exactly what they're like in a home environment. Does the dog countersurf? Destroy furniture when left alone? Bark at every passing car? You'll know before you commit. The behavioral predictability of adult dogs makes them dramatically easier for first-time owners to manage. You can match the dog's actual personality to your actual lifestyle instead of gambling on what a puppy might become. The 3-3-3 rule for rescue dogs explains the typical adjustment timeline beautifully. 3 days to decompress, 3 weeks to settle into routine, 3 months to fully trust you. Let's discuss lifestyle fit, matching energy levels and household dynamics. A real-world scenario. You work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. You want a dog for companionship and weekend hikes, but you're not home during the day. A puppy doesn't fit that life without expensive interventions like doggy daycare at $300 to $600 per month or a midday dog walker at $15 to $30 per day. Even with those supports, you're missing the critical socialization window, 8 to 16 weeks, when puppies need exposure to new people, places, sounds, and experiences to develop into confident adults. Adult dogs fit into working professional schedules with minimal adjustment. They can handle 6 to 8 hours alone, with a midday break if possible, and many shelter dogs have already lived in similar situations. You can maintain your normal routine and still provide excellent care. Family dynamics matter too. Puppies and young children under age 6 are a difficult combination unless at least one adult is home full-time to supervise. Puppies play rough. They bite, jump, and knock small kids down. Kids under 6 don't have the impulse control to follow training protocols consistently, which means the puppy learns conflicting rules and develops confusion-based behavioral issues. I've seen this combination work, but it requires more patience and management than most first-time owners anticipate. Adult dogs with child-friendly temperaments are much easier to integrate into homes with young kids. They've moved past the mouthy puppy stage, they're less likely to knock toddlers over during play, and they can be evaluated for child tolerance before adoption. If you live in an apartment or condo with noise restrictions, adult dogs are usually quieter than puppies going through teenage fear periods and barrier frustration phases, typically 6 to 14 months. Puppies bark at everything because they're learning about the world and don't yet have impulse control. Adult dogs bark too, but it's usually context-specific and easier to manage with training. The question ultimately comes down to this. Can your actual daily life, not your ideal fantasy version, accommodate the needs of a young puppy for 6 months straight? If the honest answer is no, an adult dog will give you all the companionship and joy without derailing your entire existence. So who should choose a puppy? Choose a puppy if you have a genuinely flexible schedule for the next 4 to 6 months. Either you work from home full-time, you're between jobs, you're a stay-at-home parent with school-age kids, or you have a partner who can tag-team the constant supervision. Puppies aren't weekend projects, they're full-time jobs for the first several months. Choose a puppy if you want complete control over socialization and training. If you're willing to invest the time in proper early socialization, exposing your puppy to more than 100 new people, places, and experiences before 16 weeks, you can shape a confident, well-adjusted adult dog. This matters most if you have specific needs: service dog candidates, working dogs for farms or ranches, or competition prospects for dog sports. Choose a puppy if you have the emotional patience for the challenging phases. Housebreaking accidents at 3 a.m. don't rattle you. Destroyed shoes feel manageable. You can redirect biting behavior for the 1,000th time without losing your cool. Some people genuinely enjoy the puppy phase despite its challenges. If that's you, go for it. But be honest with yourself. The puppy phase looks adorable on Instagram. Living through it is exhausting, expensive, and sometimes frustrating enough to make you question your decision. Make sure you're ready for the reality, not just the highlight reel. And who should choose an adult dog? Choose an adult dog if you work a standard schedule and can't be home every 2 to 3 hours during the day. Adult dogs are the obvious choice for working professionals, and they're just as capable of forming deep bonds with their owners as puppies. Sometimes more so because they seem to understand they've been given a second chance. Choose an adult dog if you want predictable behavior and personality from day one. You can select for the specific traits you need: calm and low energy for apartment living, active and adventurous for hiking partners, or social and friendly for homes with frequent guests. The guesswork is gone. Choose an adult dog if your budget is tight. The first-year cost difference is substantial, and adult dogs from shelters or rescues often come with initial vet care already completed. Many organizations include spay or neuter, vaccines, microchipping, and sometimes even basic training in the adoption fee, typically $150 to $400. Choose an adult dog if you're a genuine first-time owner who's never managed the puppy phase before. Despite what you've heard, adult dogs are not harder to train or set in their ways. That's a myth that keeps wonderful dogs in shelters. Adult dogs are easier for inexperienced handlers because they already understand basic concepts like house training and impulse control. You can focus on building your relationship and learning dog body language without simultaneously teaching every single life skill from scratch. Let me tackle some frequently asked questions. Is it harder to train a puppy or an adult dog for a first-time owner? Adult dogs are easier to train for first-time owners because they already have basic impulse control, longer attention spans, and established bladder control. Puppies require round-the-clock supervision and need every single behavior taught from scratch over 4 to 6 months of consistent daily training sessions. Adult dogs can learn new commands in days or weeks using the same training methods puppies require months to master because their brains are fully developed and they're not simultaneously navigating fear periods, teething pain, and developmental growth phases. How long does it take for an adult rescue dog to adjust to a new home compared to a puppy? Most adult dogs adjust within 3 to 8 weeks following the 3-day decompression, 3-week routine establishment, and 3-month full bonding timeline. Puppies don't fully settle into their adult personality until 12 to 18 months of age, making the adjustment period much longer overall. Adult dogs experience an initial transition where they're learning your household rules, but they're not simultaneously going through developmental stages. So once they understand your routine and trust you, their behavior stabilizes predictably and remains consistent. Can first-time owners successfully adopt adult dogs with unknown backgrounds? Yes, first-time owners can successfully adopt adult dogs with unknown histories as long as they work with reputable rescues or shelters that conduct behavioral evaluations and provide honest assessments about each dog's temperament, energy level, and any special needs like separation anxiety or leash reactivity. Foster-based rescue organizations are especially helpful for first-time owners because the foster family has lived with the dog and can provide detailed information about how the dog behaves in a home setting, what triggers stress or anxiety, and whether they're compatible with children, cats, or other dogs. Information you simply cannot know about a puppy until they mature. Here's the bottom line. Most first-time owners should choose adult dogs. This decision isn't about which one you want, it's about which one fits your actual life right now. Puppies are adorable and rewarding if you have the time, flexibility, and patience to manage the intense first 6 months. But for most first-time owners working standard schedules, living in apartments, or hoping for predictable behavior without a steep learning curve, adult dogs deliver all the companionship with half the chaos. I've watched countless first-time owners struggle through the puppy phase, wishing they'd adopted an adult dog. And I've watched just as many fall in love with their 2 to 3-year-old rescue within the first week and wonder why anyone would choose differently. Adult dogs aren't damaged goods or second choices. They're often the smarter choice, especially when you're still learning how to read dog body language, establish household rules, and build the kind of bond that makes dog ownership worth it. Visit your local shelter, spend time with a few adult dogs, and you'll see exactly what I mean. That's it for this episode of Total Pet Parent Podcast. Thanks for listening all the way through. We've got new episodes coming out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you'll never run out of practical advice you can actually use. If this episode helped you out, I'd really appreciate it if you left a 5-star rating and maybe wrote a quick review. It sounds small, but it actually makes a huge difference. It's how other dog owners who need this kind of guidance end up finding the show. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit subscribe or follow so you get notified the second a new episode drops. I'll catch you next time.